you cinema buffs out there. He's Nate, I'm Dennis, and we're bringing you our review of War for the Planet of the Apes. Now, we have the third entry in this franchise. Andy Serkis is back as Caesar, doing the mocap, tons of mocap actors. There's a new lead human character this time around in Woody Harrelson, but this time it's the antagonist who's the lead human character. Yeah. And so, if you've seen the first two, you know how it's all been building up to this war, this final war between the humans and the apes. But Nate, tell me, what'd you think about the first two, Rise of the Planet of the Apes and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes?
I like both of those movies quite a bit, actually. I think they're incredibly well executed. I also think the special effects are just like a notch above the special effects these days. They set the bar, really, for motion capture, and especially with Caesar. I do like the first one a little bit more than the second one, because I think it's just a little bit later. The second one went into really, really dreary, dark territory, in my opinion. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think the first two movies in this series are very well made, and I disagree. I think the second one is actually better than the first one. I get your reasons for liking the first one, but I just think that the second one's a better executed movie, and also touches on more of the themes and the allegories that were touched on in Pierre LeBoul's original novel of The Planet of the Apes. But once again, the special effects, top notch. I remember we watched Rise a couple weeks ago, and we noticed, even then, I was like, all right, the special effects still look good, but they're just looking a tad dated.
Just a little bit.
And they get better in Dawn, and then they get even better in this one.
Yeah, the special effects are uncanny to the seamless level, where you get immersed into this world. There's nothing that takes you out of the experience when it comes to the special effects whatsoever. No. So we'll get more into that. Let's touch on to the plot of this. This is finishing the trilogy. This is clearly a trilogy. I mean, this is the final act of this, 3-movie part. So, what'd you think of the plot? What'd you think of the, the pacing of the whole thing?
So it's all been building up to this, and Caesar, the apes have finally found some kind of paradise, some kind of home.
Yeah.
And the humans, once again, are just trying to, take it over, trying to destroy them. And hats off to the filmmakers. You are actively rooting against the human race.
100%.
It's not Avatar where these humans work for a corporation, you're rooting against them. No, you're actively rooting against your own race in these movies.
Yeah, and I think that they did a really good job of that it evolved. This whole thing, evolution is a big theme of these movies, and these movies have evolved, and they haven't slowed down of character development. Caesar changes his course as a character in this movie really quite well, and I think that the theme of apes, don't kill apes, all of that, don't take this so personally. This is a personal movie. It is a personal journey of Caesar, and I love the route they took with this. Humans took a back seat. This is a cool journey, almost like an espionage stealth journey of just a few key characters that I enjoyed the team and everything they built with this movie. I was really, really impressed with the pacing and the plot of this movie.
Yeah, I will say if I had one kind of small complaint about the pacing, once you got to the climax, the build-up was great, but the build-up did take a little while.
It did.
I felt like once they got to, there's like you said, there's all sorts of espionage. There's prison escape elements to this movie.
Yeah.
There's just all sorts of cool stuff, and there's hats off to Matt Reeves, the director, for just turning out another good movie. He did Dawn. He's directing The Batman, which is why I'm rocking the shield tonight, and this makes me really excited for what he can do with that, because there's great stalking scenes like you expect to see in Batman. There's great one-on-one with the villain and the hero, what you expect to see in Batman. So this movie is just top notch.
There are some tense moments, and it is beautifully shot. This movie is well executed. It never felt cheesy. You really felt for these CGI characters, and it went right along. I will say there was a lull or two here and there, and one of my biggest gripes is the villain felt a little weak. Yes, there were some good moments between Caesar and the villain, and Woody Harrelson put in a very good performance, but he wasn't really given enough, and the course he takes was just kind of a letdown for me.
I would say that I don't know if the villain was weak. I'll say the villain was underwhelming.
Yeah,
I expect more from Woody Harrelson, just an actor like that.
They do flesh out his motives,
quite
well, but all in all, underwhelming. Very good word for that. Also, the pacing was just it did turn into a prison type of movie, prison escape, but also turned into a slavery type of movie as well. And it was very heavy-handed on that, and quite brutal at times, really. I always thought that the first Planet of the Apes movies that they made was the lighter one, and then I watched it again, I'm like, nope, it's pretty depressing. And then I watched the second one, depressing too. This one, It's kind of depressing. They do sprinkle in some comic relief from one character, Bad Ape, which I really enjoyed his character.
Yeah.
Some much needed light or comedy with this movie.
Yeah, you get Steve Zahn to play that ape, you know. Of course it's going to be a little bit funny. And
Yeah.
speaking of performances, I just can't say enough about Andy Serkis. Not only in this movie, but all three of these movies. He's just a good actor in general. I mean, The Prestige, you know, his human character in King Kong.
Yeah.
You know, he is a great actor. And he's just kind of brought this revolutionary thing where, you know, with this mocap and how he can show that you can deliver these great performances even though you as a person are totally getting transformed into something else once the final movie's out.
Right, and I think that's another thing to commend. This movie does not require a lot of dialogue or words. And I mean that in a great way. Like, this movie's story moves right along, and you get a lot of feeling just through this motion capture, just through their faces, their looks, the feelings. Like, the feeling is so there. There's so much feeling in this movie.
Yeah, and
you know?
Great dialogue between apes. And, you know, they're half the time they're signing.
Thank goodness for the signing. I really am glad that they didn't go like, all right, they all can talk now. Like, that's not the case.
Caesar, you can tell he's evolving. Like, he spoke a little bit at the end of the first one.
Yeah.
He was like half signing, half speaking in the second one. And then this one, he's speaking more clearly in like more complete sentences. So I like that they kept that consistent. He is evolving.
Another thing, I don't know if it's great or not. I like all these movies. I just think they're ill-titled. War for the Planet of the Apes still is not the most accurate title for this movie.
No, it doesn't necessarily flow
They
off
always
the tongue.
seem like one film behind with the titles a little bit, you know? Like, and that doesn't bother me so much. They even try to like justify it at the beginning of this one a little bit, I think. Their titles are like, all right, I get it. You used it in a sentence. For the Planet of the Apes wasn't exactly the title they could have used. I would almost think like Battle for the Planet of the Apes would have been better.
But that's already been one.
Yeah, I guess.
But there was one little thing that kind of stood out to me. It like took me out, didn't take me out of the movie, but just for a second, just like at one point Caesar was looking through binoculars and one of the apes was signing to him. Then he was talking to him. Like, how could he see him signing? And then it kind of kept happening throughout the movie. There's times where Caesar's not looking at the ape talking to him and he responds. I'm like,
he didn't see it.
Right. So like that, there's just a few little moments where it's just like, it just got me and I just couldn't let it go.
Buffs.
All right, Nate, we gave our thoughts on the movie. Both seemed to enjoy it, but tell me how much and put a score on it.
All right. Well, I really enjoyed War of the Planet of the Apes, and I expected to enjoy this movie. I also expected exactly what I got, and that's really what I wanted out of it. But it did take the cake, I think, as my favorite of the series. I think it went up there as my favorite out of the series. I mean, you can't deny the special effects, the performances. I felt everything that these characters were feeling in this movie, and I really just think it's a well-made movie that has a lot more to say underneath the surface. So I'm gonna go pretty high with an 8 out of 10. I really liked War of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, that is a good score, and I agree with you. This movie does, touch some territory that you don't see in Hollywood movies, especially the big blockbusters these days. And I feel like this movie is like Star Trek Beyond last year. It's like, it's the third entry in a solid franchise. Why are people not talking about it more?
Yeah.
Like, these movies have been consistently good. Why are we not excited about it?
Beyond was really good.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to go just a little bit higher than you. I'm going to give this one an 8.5 out of 10.
Nice.
Very good movie. And yeah, it might be my favorite of the series. I like it when a trilogy really ends and gives you closure. And this movie did it.
Agreed, and I think that the summer is finally picking up pace halfway through. We are getting some really great summer movie blockbusters, and this is no exception. I encourage you to go see this movie.
Buffs.
All right, so that's our review for War for the Planet of the Apes. What did you guys think of the movie? What do you think of the series as a whole? Leave all your comments below. Also, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to Cinema Buffs. We appreciate all the support.
And be sure to join us next week when we come to pick. So we're actually going to split up the movies next week between Valerian and Dunkirk. Nate will give you his thoughts on Valerian and the City of Thousand Planets. And I'll bring you my review of the new Christopher Nolan feature, Dunkirk. So we'll bring those to you next week. But until then, don't forget,
there's no place like the theater.